some others that have signed, and we'll hopefully be catching up later on. What I will do, just to sort of get us off to a nice gentle start, I want to ask you another question to go into chat. And my question is, what is your favorite dinosaur? What is your favorite dinosaur? Can we pop that into chat? Me. That's very honest, right? T-Rex? Yeah.
Headphone time.
Gotta love a T-Rex.
Headphones.
Gotta love a T-Rex. Yeah. That's the only name I know. Yep. Okay. It's also probably the easiest to type. I can't see anybody typing Brontosaurus. Velociraptor, fair play. Like that one. The Rhinosaur. Cool. Yeah, Triceratops. I like a good Triceratops. That's why I put that one there. Stegosaurus. Oh, there we go. Lots of dinosaur knowledge. One with a long neck. Bronto, I think. But it might be one of the new ones they've discovered. Cool. Okay, so yeah, just getting to think about dinosaurs. It'll start to make sense later. But yeah, let's get up and running. We've been open 7 minutes now. So yeah, my name's Fred Copestake. I like to think I'm not a dinosaur. I have been around for a little bit. So certainly from a training point of view, I've been working in this for the last 22 years. Been around the world 14 times doing that. I've worked in 36 countries. I've trained over 10,000 salespeople. So it's a real kind of privilege to have done that stuff. But what it's also helped me do is to recognize some of the challenges that salespeople have. That's what led me to write my first book, Selling Through Partnering Skills, where I addressed some of the challenges that I can see across different sectors, different countries, and different even types of selling. The challenges that we talk about there are busy, oldie worldy, and muddled mindset. So this is the stuff where salespeople are running around, doing lots of stuff, really active, but not necessarily effective. Oldie worldy is using techniques, is using ways of working that just don't work anymore. Ineffective as well, but also potentially annoying to customers. And so this is about helping people to get better at what they do. The muddled mindset is where a salesperson can get caught between, am I transactional or am I consultative? And I need to be helping customers, but I need to make sales. And so often management don't help this because they're confusing people in what they should be doing. In the first book, we look at how we can deal with that by helping people get more effective, helping them get more up to date, and helping them become more aligned in the way that they operate. That was great. So I wrote that, and it came out in 2020. Happy days. Beginning of 2020, all ready to go. And of course, things happened that caused a massive change. Massive changes went on. So I'm all about helping good people do good things in a good way. It was all about helping people with this evolution of sales. But like I say, in 2020, it's like somebody pressed the fast forward button. Those challenges were layered up on top by some other things that we start to see. So really, for me, this kind of evolution of sales has sped up that we have to get our head around. So that's why I very quickly put writing head back on and put together hybrid selling. So the book Hybrid Selling is about looking at these next set of challenges that salespeople are also facing. So the challenges that we're seeing now, on top of those ones I've just briefly mentioned, are all to do with change. So these are to do with customer changes, the climate of selling change, and change changing. So yeah, kind of sounds a bit paradoxical, but we'll talk about what those mean. So when we talk about customer changes, the kind of things that are making these happen are that customers are more advanced, they're more biased, they're more confused. So by more advanced, what I'm talking about is that customers are further down the buying cycle. They've got more information. They're more sophisticated than ever. The stuff is out there. And salespeople are going to have to add a different type of value. Salespeople are also more, customers are also more biased. And by that, what I mean, they're biased towards the things that they like. Another way of putting this would be that they're more demanding. They've got higher expectations. They know what they like, They like what they want, and they're going to do things to try to be consistent with that. A lot of them will try to solve their own problems. And so with being more advanced and more biased gives more challenges to salespeople to try to do the right thing for customers. However, there is a paradox in that customers are also more confused. We live in confusing times. There's lots of stuff going on that none of us have ever had to deal with. And so this is something that they're trying to get their heads around. I like to use the acronym VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That's something, it's an old military expression, military model from back in the end of the Cold War, where the military weren't sure really now who the enemy was, how the enemy act, what they need to do. But it absolutely applies in the world that we're living in now as salespeople. Now, customers are facing volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So there are opportunities for us to help with that. When I talk about the climate change, I'm not talking about the environment as such, but it's the climate of selling. So again, this is broken down into a number of areas where we can start to see challenges that salespeople need to overcome. And one of these is choosing the right type of sale to get involved with. There are so many types of sales that salespeople need to work out how they need to operate. It can be incredibly confusing for them. We talk about full cycle sales, or we talk about the SDR AE type setup. We talk about classic selling, consultative selling, value-based selling, enterprise selling, strategic selling. We talk about the negotiation skills, key account management, customer success management. There's lots and lots of different ways that people can approach this job. And it can be very confusing if someone's getting lots and lots of different information, different ways in which they're being encouraged to work. And we need to make sure they're doing the right thing at the right time. There's different techniques aligned with this. So again, some sales companies, some salespeople are still trying to sell through using brute force. They're trying to push, push, push. They're trying to hammer their way home. Others are far more customer centric. They'll focus in on the customer, their needs, their wants, their issues, their concerns. Some salespeople still think it's a good idea to be a tricky dicky kind of classic salesperson that we often get tarred with that brush. Others are very professional. We talk about salespeople being very prepared, being very proactive, being passionate, proud. So many different ways that we can go about doing this job. And of course, technology. Technology's got a huge impact to play on modern selling. So many things that a salesperson can now use to support what they're doing. And some of the things which can be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit intimidating, perhaps. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, those kind of things are now coming into play. We could also talk about video being a large part of selling also. Certainly things salespeople need to get their head around if they're going to be current, if they're going to be relevant. And then the changing change element, this is going to break down into kind of the sense, the stance, and the speed that people deal with change. So the sense of change, by this what I mean is whether people are sensing change and feeling it. Some people are almost oblivious to the things that are going on which are changing the way in which we need to operate. Now, some things it's clear that things have happened which have changed how we work. But I'm sometimes wondering how that filters down and whether people are actually changing the way they operate. I always think of that analogy with this of boiling a frog. Throw a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. However, start a frog off in cold water, gently heat that up, make it warmer and warmer and warmer until it boils. The frog doesn't notice that there's a difference. It boils to death. I mean, it's a horrible analogy, but it's one that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes we're like that frog. It's getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and we're not noticing. We're sticking with the stuff we've always done. It's not being effective. This is linked to the stance that people have on sales. And it's interesting to try to work out whether you're a sales initiator or a sales resistor. Initiators love change. They see it as opportunity. They want to get hold of it. They want to do stuff with it. Resistors will push back. They won't like change. They'll try everything to dig their heels in and stay in the way that they've always been working. They're ends of the spectrum. In the middle, we'll see people who adapt. And so this is about how fast we can adapt. How fast can we do that? We think about the theory of evolution. We think about what Darwin talked about. He talked about it's not the fittest, it's not the most intelligent, it's not the strongest. It's the ones that are able to adapt that'll have longevity. So the speed of change, again, it's another thing that we need to understand, how fast things are actually happening. That things are just speeding up. It's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. It's at this point I tend to think of Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Can you just pop in chat? Do you know Willy Wonka? Do you know who I'm talking about? Just put a simple Y or N. Do you know Willy Wonka? Lauren knows Willy Wonka. Yeah. So certainly everyone's got to know Willy Wonka. And of course, that picture there, it's used on a million memes. But the piece I think about with Willy Wonka is in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where they go into that tunnel, they're on the boat. And there's Willy Wonka, and he's talking about there's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or the way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? The wind is blowing. It speeds up. It speeds up. There's a hurricane are blowing. There's a speck of light is showing. The danger must be growing. That, I think, is how we are. We're kind of caught in this tunnel where stuff is speeding up. If we can react to it, there's great opportunity. If we don't, if we get overwhelmed, we can get left behind. And I do have a genuine concern that some salespeople are going to miss the bus. I really don't want that stuff to happen. We don't want salespeople to get left behind because they're not able to adapt. They're not able to make the changes, to make the evolutions, to be relevant, to be current. So how can we do stuff? How can we do stuff? Well, we can adapt to change in each of those areas. We can adapt to customer change, the climate change, and changing change. So let's have a brief think about how we can do this. Again, stuff that I'm covering in the book and helping people to understand. So when we talk about customers being more advanced, further down the buying cycle, having more information, trying to self-diagnose, one of the things that we can do is we can start to align with them. We can start to make sure that we're doing the things that make most sense for them, and whether that's fitting in with a process that they're comfortable with, or guiding them through a process because it might be something they don't understand how to do. That's where we can be far more useful, far more relevant to them. When we think about this bias or this demanding approach that salespeople have, this is where we need to think about how do we balance up the way in which we operate? How can we do the things which make most sense to them? And when we're thinking about this confusion that customers have, as a salesperson, we can help them clarify. Now, I talked about the VUCA model. There's a fantastic model that was developed in the 80s by a guy called Bob Johansson called VUCA Prime. And what this does is it matches the elements of VUCA in ways in which you can kind of counter them. Volatility, it's countered by giving vision. Uncertainty by understanding, complexity with clarity, and the ambiguity by agility. A salesperson can massively add value, I believe, in helping bring those to the party in their discussions with customers. That's a very modern way of selling when we talk about adding value. So that's certainly things that we can do as salespeople to be more modern and become more buyer-centric in the way that we deal with customers. When we think about the climate, the sales climate, this is about contextual judgment. It's about thinking about the best way to operate that's going to make most sense for customers and for self. So when we're thinking about the type of sale, it's about picking a way that works. It works for yourself and for the customers. So it's about transforming a sales approach into something that is relevant, is consistent. When we think about the techniques we use, it's about tailoring the approaches, is taking the things which are going to work, which are useful, which are helpful, and using those on a consistent basis. And when we think about technology, this is about us taking control of the technology, not letting it lead us, not letting it frighten us, but using it to do the things it's designed for. Technology can do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So embracing that and thinking about what our TQ is. Now, I talk about PQ in book number 1, which is partnering skills. Justin Michael's written an excellent book about technical sales, and he talks about TQ. So think about how can we raise our technological quotient to be using these things to help us in what it is that we're doing. So broad ways in which we can counter these. It's not something we should be frightened of. I'm a glass half full sort of person, and I really do think massive opportunity as a sales professional to be able to step up and really make a difference for customers. the changing change. So this is about being savvy about what's going on. So it's just understanding, is the water boiling around me? Is it something that I need to adapt to? Is it something I need to change? And how can I do that? I like to think about the stance that we have with changes to be smooth in the way that we adapt. Now, whether it's initiator, whether it's adapter, then it's something that we certainly want to try and make the journey for ourselves and our customers as easy as possible. And with speed, we need to be slick. Slickness in selling. Interesting word, perhaps, because slickness, when we talk about someone who's slick, I looked this up when I was writing a book, and it talks about, is in the book, I'm just going to look down at my notes here. It says, slickness, hanky-panky, hocus-pocus, jiggery-pokery, skullduggery, trickery. I am not preaching any of those. Slickness could also be used to indicate clever. And that is how I want you to take this. Smoothness and slickness together, the way I feel this is, and the way we want to work with customers is, we want to give them this limousine ride. So think about, we're putting them in a Maybach, we're sat together with them, we're there, we're in luxury, the thing, it glides, it takes off. We barely notice, but these things can go really fast. If we can sit our customers beside us and work like that, that's a way that's going to help us be really, really effective. So use those words advisedly, the slickness, the smoothness, and the speed, but we can definitely give customers a fantastic experience with that way of working. I suppose other limousines are available, but I like my Maybach because it's a bit different, not as common as the other limousines, if you like. Okay, so why do I do this? Why do I do this? Well, my first job was in sales. I was 8 years old. 8 years old, first job in sales. It's because I had a position with the family business. So family business was a builder's merchant, and we sold kitchens and bathrooms. And every year on Boxing Day, day after Christmas, we had this big sale. When I was 8, I was allowed to go and help. I could help out. Oh, I was so proud. It was really cool. What they did, they kitted me out in this massive orange polo shirt, one of those big old brown warehouse coats, and I was put to work in the tile store. Now, I need to explain, the tile store was a room in a large Victorian mill. That was where this business was located, a big old-fashioned Victorian mill made of solid stone. And bearing in mind, it's December in England, it was pretty cold. I mean, we could say it was stone cold. I was there, big kit, next to these tiles, helping people choose them, talking to them about what they wanted. I was chatting. I was having a brilliant time. I absolutely loved it. It wasn't work. It was very cool. And so I was helping them package these tiles up. I was putting a little chit into this box. They were going off. They were paying for these. And I got a commission. I got a commission at the end of the day. Yeah, because I noted what sales I'd made. Now, I invested that commission wisely. Tell you what, put in chat what you think I invested my first sales commission in. 8-year-old with a massive orange polo shirt and brown warehouse coat. Books on sales, Mars bars, lemons. Mars bars is the closest. It was sweeties. Of course, I went off and bought sweeties. Yeah, a wise investment. The sales books came later. No, but the point is, I absolutely loved this. I realized that, you know what, this is stuff that's fun. I like doing it. And as a result, everything I've done has always had some commercial focus. University at Birmingham, I studied commerce. I then went on, I worked in a sales role at a company called Norgren, became business development manager around Europe. And but I just love the profession. What I have is, I've got a growth mindset. So, and I think it is a role, sales roles are things we can grow in. We can always really kind of understand how to do things better. I love working with people who've got a growth mindset. Absolutely love it. I struggle massively with people who don't. And to be honest, I would just prefer not to now. And luckily I'm getting to a position where I can make those choices. You've got a growth mindset, I'll work with you. We can do great things together. If you haven't, if you're going to carry on doing all the same things, if this is the way I'm going to do it, and I always do that, it's hard. It's hard for me. But, you know, sales, love it. I believe everybody lives by selling something. Yeah, so many roles involve sales, so many roles. Now, I will tend to work with B2B professional salespeople, but everybody has got some element of selling something. And so this is something that I do get on my soapbox a little bit. I do preach about a little bit, which is why I give some of my time to a local university. And I'm actually this year going to develop some products which I can share with universities, because sales skills are life skills, and I really want people to take that away. But full-time job is with B2B salespeople, which I'm guessing the majority of people on here are. I know we shouldn't assume, but it's a bit of assumption I'm making. So I've got another question for you. Do you like crisps? Yeah, I think probably a translation is needed here. I am from the UK. A crisp is a crisp, that's what it is. If you're in the US, it's probably a potato chip. But we're going to go with the British version of this. My presentation, my rules. Lots of yeses. Okay, now I'll tell you what, let's get a bit more specific on this. What is your favorite flavor of crisp? What's your favorite flavor of potato chip? Pop that in chat for me, if you'd be so kind. Worcester sauce. Hand cooked. Prawn, can't stop it. Prawn cocktail, please. Thrown me off the presentation, even thinking about that. Cheese. Salt and vinegar. Yes, it's in doubt. Yeah, ready salted. No messing about. Yeah, with you on that one, Alvin. I also like cheese and onion. Cheese and onion crisps. So another question for you. And I appreciate it's an international audience, but I'm kind of interested in this. What color bag do cheese and onion crisps come in? What color bag do cheese and onion crisps come in? Blue, totally right. Green, green, really? Come on, at this stage, there's too many green. Yellow? And again, I know I've got an international audience. However, and I have worked all over the world, and I will flex culturally, apart from on important issues like this. It is blue. No argument about it. Blue is the color for cheese and onion crisps.
You got mail.
So.
Got mail.
So, we could get an argument about crisps. Lovely one. No, okay, so, right, why am I talking about this? I've just lost the plot. No, I think it's quite interesting when we think about the bag of cheese and your crisp, because somebody is growing onions, somebody is making cheese, and somebody is going and selling that to a manufacturer of flavor. Okay, they all put the flavorings together, and somebody is going and selling that to the crisp manufacturer. So the crisp manufacturer will use machines that somebody has sold to them. They'll probably be using computer software that somebody has sold to them. They'll be using logistics, they'll be using trucks, they'll be using all the elements involved in that somebody has sold to them. They'll be going, and somebody's going to be going selling that to the supermarkets. Now in the supermarket, there'll be the aisles, the shelving, all the things that they need to run that somebody is selling to them. For me, that's really important, because when we look at the different types of selling, I sometimes wonder whether this more traditional full cycle type of salesperson gets a little bit ignored. There's a lot of excitement around SaaS, around software service type selling and the way that operates. But I think the people who are doing this type of sales are in danger of being ignored. That's why they're getting my focus. I don't want these people to be left out. Somebody sells these kind of things. And so that really is where the book is targeted at. If you're involved in that kind of sale, full cycle, traditional, this book is very much for you. So what it's doing, it'll help you understand the evolutions that I've started to talk about, and then how to address them. That's the point. Why I get worried about salespeople in this particular area missing out is that in my experience, sometimes people will cling to a single sales approach. They've got a way of working, it's quite simplistic, and whereas it might have been enough in the past, it is not going to be enough in the future. The analogy I will draw with this is that if you've got a single drum and you're tapping away on that, it's not a brilliant performance. It's not so interesting for people. And you'll soon get discarded, you'll soon get left behind. What we're needing to do is we're needing to use the full drum set. We need to get the full kit. And if you think about these different drums, the cymbals, the different size of drum, they're all different bits of sale, different sales technique that we can bring in to make sure we're relevant, to make sure we're up to date. Kind of reminds me of a few years ago, I went to see Guns N' Roses in concert, and the support was Motley Crue. So I don't know if any of you know Motley Crue. The drummer is Tommy Lee. Now, Tommy Lee likes attention. Tommy Lee wants to be the star. And so his drum kit was huge, big drum kit, right in the center of the stage. He got this big ring of lights all around, and the drum solos in every single song were really, really long. But what was really cool is that at one stage, he's doing this big drum solo, and the drum kit starts moving. It's like moving like this. It's going up the sides of the circle. I say, what's going on here? It's going up. In the end, he went totally upside down and was drumming like this. The performance as a drummer was amazing. And everyone was just like, wow, cool. He then, when he came back down to the ground, got off the drum kit, went and got someone from the crowd, strapped them in next to him, did exactly the same thing. Now, I think it's a really cool analogy for salespeople in that we need the full drum kit and we need to be strapping the customer in next to us to be able to then really make a difference, to make our performance as salespeople really, really solid. That's what I'm doing in the book, Hybrid Selling. It's trying to give people the full drum kit, to give them the thinking about all of the elements that they're going to need to embrace so they can start to use that as a checklist to keep themselves evolving, to keep themselves moving forward. In the book, I'm helped by two characters, Harry and Larry. Harry and Larry is a story in there. I don't want to tell too much about it. I want you to buy a book, of course do. In fact, Donna, can you just pop a link in? Because I should have said the book is on offer today. The book is on offer today. In English pounds, it's 99 pence. In US dollars, it's 99 cents. So yeah, on Kindle, it's a good time to buy this. You'll get to hear the story of Harry and Larry. That's the first section. I then break down what they did and the evolutions they go through into the evolve model. And then the third section is all about how you can take that and how you can apply it. So there's some tools in there for you to analyze yourself, to work out where you're going to get your quick wins, what it is you need to do next. So that's basically the three sections of the book. I'll tell you what goes in there anyway. Yeah. The evolve model are these 6 parts of professional selling that I believe we need if we are going to be relevant, if we're going to have success, if we're going to future-proof ourselves, for a better word. So what do Harry and Larry do? Well, as they go through their struggles, as they go through the problems that they counter, they realize that the essentials of selling are absolutely key. Having a solid foundation, so understanding how sales evolve, the bits that work today, the bits that don't and we should throw away, and how they can bring them together. They build everything on that solid basis. So that's the value framework. That's another framework. That's the one that's from the first book that I wrote, because for me, that is how sales is today. It's about partnering with customers better. It's about using those skills to get closer and collaborate, to be more collaborative in the selling approach. Virtual selling is another important part of sales of hybrid selling. So this is all about using video. So it's using video live. It's also about sending video, synchronous and asynchronous communication. I include in this element social selling. So it's using the platforms, it's using social media as a way of building brand, of changing messages, of sharing content. And I've mentioned already some of the tools that are now available, some of the AI, some of the other things that can do the heavy lifting for salespeople. It's about embracing those and using them. Another element is opportunity management. So this is about information. It's about taking information about sales opportunities, working out what we know, working out what we don't know, and then doing something about that. Big part of this is around decision-making units. We know these are getting bigger. We know more and more people are involved in sales. So it's understanding who's who, what it is that they're trying to take from it. It's about developing mutual action plans. It's about showing how we can work with people to enable them to get the outcomes that we're promising. I think salespeople need to lead. And again, I don't mean kind of leading people up the garden path. I don't mean a negative connotation for this. I mean in the term of a servant leader. So as someone who's a guide. So it's someone who can align with the buying process, understand what the buying process would look like for a customer, help them through that. I've talked about VUCA, I've talked about how we can combat that. Again, another part of leading people to the point that they want to be. Very proactive way of operating. Talked about selling value. Now, value selling has been around a long time, but I sometimes question how well people do that. Good colleague of mine, Mike Wilkinson, he talks about value as being a mystery. It's a mystery. We don't know what it is. We've got to work with customers to understand what it is, so then we can take on the challenge of value to co-create, collaborate, to do things which are going to get that mutual benefit. A big part of this is around insight, generating insight, giving people different perspectives, useful information that they can use. And then the final part of the evolved model is about expanding the sale. Rather than rushing around trying to get lots and lots of new logos, lots and lots of brand new business, it's, well, okay, we're working with customers. How can we make more business with them? How can we do things by delivering well on what we've promised and then exploring more opportunities? How can we make the business grow? This involves elements of account management. It involves elements of customer success management. Customer success is a great discipline, and I would encourage all salespeople to have at least an understanding what that's all about. It's all about outcomes. It's all about delivering on outcomes. So I love that way of thinking. Also think about self-management. We've got to look after ourselves. As salespeople, we've got to be in our best possible form to be able to do the right things with customers. So mental health and all of those elements are important. Mental, physical, all the rest of it. So I cover all these things. There's a lot in there. David Brock wrote the foreword for me and he said, that's pretty overwhelming. But I guess that's the point. And I said, yes, David, it totally is. Totally is, because there are so many things we need to do to stay current. So, question I ask, is that you? Is that for you? Some people will have fixed mindset. They won't want to try and embrace all this. They won't want to do anything different. And that's fine. But the ones that do are the ones that I can definitely work with. Personally, I don't think there's any option. We can either go up, we can go down. I don't think there's a middle ground. I really don't. Now, the surviving element, I'm not so sure. We can get better or we can get worse. My humble opinion, people who want to get better, happily work with you. That's what I'm here for. So how can we start to do this? Well, okay, there's a book, I mentioned that, got the links to that in the chat. Another thing I'll just pop in the chat is a link to the hybrid selling scorecard. So the scorecard will ask you a number of questions. You can go through that. It will kind of analyze what you've answered and it'll give you a tailored report that will help you understand where you are on the journey with hybrid selling at the moment. Yeah, so that's free. What we do is put the email address so you can get the PDF sent to you with the report, and it's a tailored report. Dynamic content will give you your own understanding of how you're doing with this. Yeah, I get involved in lots of other things. So bring this mantra is think, learn, do, and all the training and the ways I set this up is to help people just with the information, but it's more about the implementation. Yeah, I want people to get to a higher level of performance faster. Steep learning curve. Steep learning curve is brilliant. Love it. People kind of make out they're bad things. Oh, it's good. It means you're getting your performance quicker and smoother. So that's what we're all about. So I'm building an accelerator around this. And what I am going to do, because this is new, and this is, I won't be repeating, is I will be offering a sprint. So the accelerator is made up of lots of different parts. One part is the virtual instructor-led stuff, so the live streamed learning like this, and I'll be offering just those sessions. Now, normally there's digital support, there's lots of other bits to help the implementation, but as a one-off, because I'm hoping that people are kind of inquisitive about this, I'll be doing 6 virtual instructor-led sessions to take people through those elements of the evolved model in a little bit more depth. I'll pop a link to that into chat. And again, that's limited offer. So that's the only sales pitch. I want salespeople to be successful. That is what I'm all about. Now, I do not want them to become extinct. I don't want people to be sad dinosaurs. That's not what we're all about. So look, I'd love to work with you, but if not, look, I will share information around this stuff. I will share loads. Social media, I will share loads of stuff on that. So Fred Copestake, name like that, you can pretty much grab that domain. We can grab that domain on all of the different channels. So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to. So Facebook I'll share, Instagram I'll share, Twitter I'll share. YouTube is a big focus this year. So if you want to connect, if you want to subscribe on YouTube, there'll be a lot of stuff. I'll put a recording of this in there and I'll break up some other stuff that I'm doing around the launch into that so you can access it. So again, what I'll do, if you just pop my link tree into the chat, then again, it's easy for you just to pop on there and connect those things up. How else can I share stuff? Okay, so the Sale Today podcast, I'm host of that. It's a rebrand that I had it called something different for the last year, but Sale Today for me makes more sense. So I've rebranded that. Great guests on that every week, comes out usually on a Thursday with an episode talking to experts in their field, interviewing them about how they are doing things, what would they say salespeople can do to keep current. So yeah, I really want to put information out there. Ultimately, full disclosure, I mean, I want to be known as the guy that brings hybrid selling to sales professionals, that's helped them stay current and get better at what they do. Yeah, I'm proud to be a salesperson. I want salespeople to be proud of what they do. Totally want to do that. That kind of that's my mission. That's my goals. Summarized as good people doing good things in a good way. That is what we're all about. All of my work is now directed towards that. This is the latest piece, the hybrid selling book. So I know we've been throwing a lot of links at you in the last couple of minutes. So I'm not sure where you would buy the book. 99p? No, I'm not sure where you would buy that, whether it be amazon.co.uk or amazon.com. So again, Donna's popping both of those in there. That's the end of the formal part of the presentation. That's the bit that I wanted to share and try and keep it as punchy and put as much in that as possible, simulate as much thinking as possible. But I am very open to questions. I love questions. I'm a trainer, of course I do. Then if anybody wants to pop anything into chat, to break up all the links as much as anything. If you want to put something in chat, if you want to come off mute, I'm happy to field questions that way. Very happy to deal with those. Appreciate I've shared quite a lot of stuff quite quickly. I do want to respect people's time. So what are my recommended next steps? Buy the book, pretty obvious. Take the scorecard. The scorecard is designed to give people insight. You know, I've got to practice what I preach, insight, giving you perspectives, giving you thinking of what it is you need to do here and now. They'll be the biggest. And then keep an eye open for the content that I'm sharing. That'll be stuff that I would recommend as a way of getting yourself on the journey. Yeah. Or even hopefully this has stimulated thinking to go, actually, no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that frog. I don't want to be caught in boiling water, become irrelevant. I want to future-proof myself. Is it easy? No. No, I'm not going to pretend. Not a quick fix, not magic, not secret potions. It's hard work, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it from the way that customers will respond. Any other questions people might have? Any other questions people might have? So I'm trying to be respectful of your time. I always set myself up 45-minute time on these kind of things. So, okay, there don't seem to be any questions coming through. Hoping that's because people are just going, whoa, that's so much to think about. And there genuinely is, but that's why I want to put as much stuff out there to help you with that. That's the point. Yeah. So again, other thing, they've got those contact details. I'll just pop those back. We've got the social media. I mean, reach out to me on any of those. Yeah, reach out to any of those. Got a question just come into chat there. Does the book provide a step-by-step guide on specific sales techniques to optimize driving more sales conversions? It's got the framework. where it will give you the thinking that you need to do. If you take some of those elements and start to integrate into the way that you operate, that will certainly help with that. It isn't a playbook as such, where it's literally do this, do this, do this, do this, because it is written for a reasonably broad audience. And so depending what it is that exactly you're selling, the step by step will be slightly different, but it will certainly point you in the right direction. And kind of give some indicators of what it is that you want your steps to be. Yeah, but it's not a playbook as such, where it's like fill this in, fill this in, fill this in, and do each of those things. I'll give a broad guide. I hope that makes sense. What is the difference between my book and other books? Sorry if you talked about this before. No, that's fine. No, it's good. That's no problem. I wrote it. Flippant answer. Okay, flippancy isn't a good answer. So the difference is that it is bang up to date. I wrote this very quickly. I could see the challenges that were coming, particularly because, when COVID hit, and it's just sped up that change. It's like the stuff was going to happen anyway, but it's now happening. So I've jumped on it. I wrote this in 3 months. I was up early in the morning every day to try to get this out, to serve the sales community and get it there. If you have read a lot of the sales books, what you'll find is that there are lots that I pull in from that, because there are lots of approaches which work and which are relevant. I'm talking about how you put these all together, and I give that framework to help you build that drum kit, to use that analogy. So that's where you would see that difference. Yeah. That'd be the main difference. That's the short answer on that. Yeah. Actually, just thinking about that as well, a lot of books do have a section on it in where you can analyze yourself. So for me, sales books, worst thing I can see is a sales book that hasn't got notes all over it, that hasn't got post-its stuck in it, and got scribbles, it's got pages turned over to remind you to go to it. And again, there's a section designed in that which will help you kind of analyze yourself. So get a pen, get a pencil, start answering the questions, see how you score, see how you come out, see where you need to work. It's about action. So the last section, I do start to get a little bit ranty about having to do things, but again, I do try to point as to what are those first things that you can do. Yeah. Oops. Okay. Cool. Thank you for the questions. Always appreciate questions. Any more things people are interested in? So have a look at Scorecard. Yeah, hopefully that'll make you buy the book. Have a look at it today. Hopefully that'll make you buy it. Yeah, I want a bit of a sales pitch, of course I am. But I'm not making any money on it today. I want it out there. I want it out. I want people reading it. Have a look, and again, please reach out. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to discuss this stuff and to help people on their own journeys. So yeah. So I will start to wrap this up. I'm not going to ask for more links to go in. There's plenty been fired at you. But Sarah, certainly please, any of those links, give me feedback. Give me feedback. I've got to do this presentation. Well, I want to do this presentation another couple of times today. If you want to give me instant feedback on what I could do better, what you liked, what you dislike, I'd love that. But otherwise, look, please, whatever you do, think about how you can make yourself future-proof, how you can stay relevant, and how you can do the stuff that is needed to be done today, because that's what customers are wanting and the environment is telling us. Cool. Oh, so one last question. Okay, good. Yeah, I've just seen that. What is new compared to value-based selling? Okay, so value-based selling is part and parcel of it. Yeah, it's the second V in the Evolve framework. We need to understand that. And again, as I said, I'm not sure people really understand how to do that. What it's doing is again, I think value-based selling is one drum that we can be using. It's a pretty big drum. It's a pretty big, important drum. But there are other things, and it's making sure we're slotting in our value-based selling approach with solid fundamentals, with using the opportunity management to make sure we're selling value to all the right people, that we've kind of got that business growth, business expansion. There's one part of the suite of tools and ways of thinking that we need to do. I say, so I'm happy to say a lot of the stuff isn't brand new. It's how we're configuring it, how we're using it, and doing it properly.
Hi, Rahul. How are you?
Cool. Good. So thank you. Yeah, nice question. Nice question. any more before we log out and I get a cup of tea? Even though I'm now craving crisps. It's bad. I'm gonna have to take that bit out. It's making me hungry. Cool. In that case, thank you so much for attending. Really do appreciate it. And as I say, hopefully you can take this stuff away and start to do something about it.